I'm Dominik, I'm a product manager here for Rekkord Audio. We are taking today a more in-depth look about the Rekkord F400, which is from the automatic turntables, so to speak. It's the flagship turntable of Rekkord Audio. It has all the technology which made these turntables produced in Germany, in the Schwarzwald, so popular, which gave them an incredible fan base, and there's quite a lot of technology and some of the most audiophile technology, also the automatics, which you can find across any brand today. These turntables, they were produced quite differently. They use quite a different philosophy and design principles when you compare them to all of the other bigger brands like Project, like Rega. Those brands, they are built using a very massive, sometimes more, sometimes less, but a massive stiff plinth. The idea is that all the resonances, the noise, vibrations is taken by this big wooden plinth, by this MDF plinth, taken away or kept away from all the important parts of the turntable, like the platter, like the tonearm, the cartridge. So you have a certain amount of mass which is able to keep the energy away from all the critical reproducing parts of the turntable. Rekkord uses an entire different philosophy because they were coming up in a time in the 70s where you had all these turntables and speakers and audio systems. They were all built into one furniture. And this design, this Rekkord design, which in this area in the 70s, if you were to take this as a stiff plinth like you did then later in the 80s and 90s, it would not really work if the speakers are very close to the turntable. You can make this work if you put a lot of mass into everything. If you put incredibly high mass into the plinth, into the platter, into the tonearm bearing, into the assembly and the base of the tonearm. If all those are mass loaded, the turntable will work also if the speakers are very close to the turntable. But with low cost designs with a stiff plinth, what they then used and which made them work incredibly well in those situations where the speakers are very close to the turntable is they are built using a sub-chassis, which you can see here. So this is a suspended, floating sub-chassis, and we still, make no mistake, we still have a very, very heavy MDF plinth, but it would simply be not enough to take away all the vibration and noise from the turntable, from the tonearm and from the platter and everything. It would not be enough. So Rekkord turntables for this entry level from F110, 300 and 400, they all use a sub-chassis design. And this sub-chassis design is able to isolate the tonearm and the platter, the sub-platter assembly that we see here. It is able to isolate all the critical parts of the turntable, and vibrations from the speakers will not be picked up by the tonearm and by the cartridge, etc. The tonearm uses an ultralight mass design, which goes back to the 70s, again when those turntables were first made. People played records all the time. It was their main source of music, was playing day-to-day records. Today it might be streaming, and then it's more the exception that you will take the time and put on a record. But back then you played records day-to-day. You had warped records, you had scratched records, so the quality was not that good, but it was the main idea and the design goal of brands, designers, technicians back in the day was to invest heavily in low tracking force, because you wanted low mass everywhere, like low tracking force, low tonearm mass, effective tonearm mass, and also low lightweight cartridges. You wanted to keep the mass down, you wanted to keep the tracking force down, because this would guarantee you very little wear on the cartridge, on the record, and also enables the tonearm here excellent tracking properties. So with well done ultralight mass tonearm like we have here on the Rekkord turntables, you can track up to 100 microns without a problem, and this is pretty unheard of or unusual in regular mid-weight from the effective tone mass designs that you use on normal regular designs, so not on the ultralight mass designs. And this leads us again to the next point, the tracking force, the vertical tracking force, and how you set it up. Because It's not a gravity-based system. Gravity-based system means you have here on the back, you see you have a counterweight, and this counterweight is adjusted so that you achieve a certain tracking force. Like you balance out the weight, the natural weight of the tone arm with the tracking force with the counterweight here at the back of this tone arm. Rekkord turntables do it differently. They have here on the side a mass-free tracking force adjustment. This works with a spiral spring. Spiral spring similar to what you see in automatic or mechanical watches. And with this style here, you can add tracking force by simply by turning it until you are at your desired point for the tracking force. And so what this does is it does not add or change the balance, the weight balance of the tone arm, so that the balance point or the central gravity point always stays exactly on the bearing, on the center of the bearing here. It does not move around by shifting this counterweight and doesn't change the balance of the tone arm, which again is another important factor why these kind of tone arms achieve so great tracking results. You can see we have also a very lightweight headshell here. Again, you don't want that there is too much mass with this ultralight mass design at the front of the tone arm. So we have here a glass fiber reinforced headshell, the most impressive point and a point which stares you in your face immediately. This Rekkord F400 is an automatic turntable. These automatics, they are still the most reliable and most audiophile way of doing automatics that currently also in this day exists. The fully automatic design, it's fully decoupled during playback. So while you are playing the record, the automatics are not in any way affecting or dragging the tone arm or causing extra wear or tear or drag on the subplatter. They are completely decoupled. So here is your quick overview of the Rekkord F400. It's our automatic flagship turntable with the automatics still being produced in Germany. They go back all the way to this dual heritage when they first started developing automatics, which are until today still the most reliable and still the most audiophile automatics mechanics on the market. You have high quality parts throughout, massless tracking force. You have this 4-pinpoint cardanic bearing, which makes this turntable stand out with all the technology it uses, and just an incredible automatic turntable which you won't find anywhere else in this way.